Okay, let's get right into it. This is the editing session for what came to be known as the Error of My Ways. It's being released into Patreon the first week of March. So let's get started. First thing I do when I start any audio is I go and I collect my noise reduction sample. And that's what I'm doing here. And I'm doing the first step in my noise reduction. I always do it at the lower FFT first, let it reduce the noise, and then I go back and I do the higher FFT sample. And this just stops it from distorting. Because if you do too much, it'll take that tinny effect and that hollow effect. We don't want that. Now what I'm doing, I amplified it and I wanted to make sure where it's peaking here that it didn't distort because some of these things are like claps, some are snaps from where I've made errors, that kind of thing. So I always go through and I just check these spots and just make sure that I haven't actually peaked the mic anywhere. If I have, then I go back and I reduce the amount that I've amplified, which I had to do in this sample. And then you'll see later I go and I amplify each section and avoid just those pieces that are distorting. What I'm doing here is kill the mic rumble and doing a de-esser. So kill the mic rumble takes away that sound. De-esser takes away the sibilants, the S's at the top, and then I'm doing a mud removal, which takes out that heavy sound in the center. So now I'm doing a noise reduction again, and I'm taking out a little bit more of the bottom because I noticed that there was a little bit more background noise when I did an amplification again. So I just increased the amount that I took out, and away we went. So now what I'm doing is I'm listening to the pieces. I just cut out some space between a slap and a reaction because when I do it live, I have to do things like that. I take out little pauses. If I've waited too long to speak, things like that. I'm listening for noises. Nothing too exciting going on here. I'm just kind of waiting to see if anything, that I can talk about happens. So I've heard something in the background, zoomed it in, cut it out right there. Nothing exciting. Again, the pause was too long. And again, made it nice and even there. So as you can see up here, there's a lot of these sections where I have stopped because I've made mistakes or I wanted to pause for a second, and I cut all those out. So I've stopped and I've heard something here that I don't like, and I'm taking out a little bit more of that rumble, a little bit more of that. I believe that was a breath I had exhaled, and it made like a blowing sound into the microphone. So I had to take that down. That's what that was. But anyway, as I was saying, there's a lot of these spots here where I've either snapped to make a marker, or some of these are like spanks from in the actual audio, but these are the things that I'll cut out. And you'll see the difference between an unedited raw track and what it looks like when it's done. So that is a mistake that I just edited out there. You can see by the fact that it's now gone. And this is what I do. I listen to literally every second of the track to make sure I don't hear anything wonky. And I do this on my closed back headphones just so that I can hear as isolated a soundstage as possible, so I know exactly what's going on. These are spanks. So again, I want to take out just that little bit of reaction time between when I did it and when I reacted to it. I'm amplifying here just this section because it was kind of quiet. So now what I have to do is every section between these spots, these big loud spots, I have to go back and I have to amplify them the same amount, but I also have to do it in such a way that it doesn't sound like that's what I'm doing. So I'm doing it and then testing it and making sure it doesn't sound like there's this big drop in the sound, in the background sound when the big spikes hit. There, I'm taking out a little bit more of the noise between the spanks. Now, this was a weird spank. I had done the spanking noise, but I hadn't reacted to it. So I was making a moan or something here, and I did the spank, but I didn't react to it at all. And when somebody spanks you, you react to it, right? So I had to take it out, but I couldn't isolate it enough. So it took some doing, as you can see, to get rid of the damn thing. This is the spank. That big line in the center is the spank, if you can see it. So I finally got rid of it. And then it just continues on. This thing was 56 minutes originally, so it's been condensed down to, I think, 12 and a bit. Um, just because nobody wants to sit through 56 minutes of editing. There again, I'm amplifying just the sections as I go, and then just making sure that it's not really noticeable when I continue on into the next section. Pretty basic. I must be okay with what I hear here because I'm not doing anything. And there's the amplification. And again. Now here I'm cranking it up because I want to hear exactly what I'm supposed to be removing, because that was a stop. I paused myself there for a reason. There must have been something in the background, and I wanted to get rid of it. There were a few of those moments. I think there were some trains or something that night that were just causing me no end of grief. There again, I have to take out another snap where I had created a stopping point for myself. There we go. I know at one point I had to sneeze or something and I had to stop. But because I didn't want to distort the mic, I did it as one of those like in your arm, hold it in and feel like your brain is going to explode sneezes. It was awesome. So it didn't even peak the mic. It was such a disappointment. I didn't even get to see it look really cool. I do have one that would like really peaked the mic and it distorted, but it's not on this track. So I'm just listening here. It's starting to get, you can see as the sound pattern is getting bigger, the intensity of the audio is amping up. So this particular audio is a DDLG punishment audio. There is some sounds in the background, some vibrators and stuff. So there's a lot going on here. And that's the other thing that I really have to listen for when I make cuts is the continuity of the vibrator, because one of them has an actual pattern this time. I don't usually do that because it's a pain in the ass to edit, but I did it this time. So I have to make sure that I don't screw up my editing and my continuity by jumping the pattern of the vibrator. So I do tend to listen a little bit more closely for that kind of thing. And that's also why I have to make sure when I'm amplifying section by section that you don't hear a drop in the vibrator at the moments that I don't amplify those peaks there, because then you can tell that I've done something wonky to the sound. So it has to be done in such a way that it hides that little transition from one moment to the next. And then it goes quiet. I think we're into the blowjob if I remember correctly. And I will remove like odd sounds and things from those, because when you're doing that kind of thing live, you don't always know what it's sounding like. You have an idea, but you don't. Like I'm taking out little weird clicking noises. There, I was trying to turn the vibrator back on, and it wouldn't turn on, and I kept hitting the button. Um, and you can hear it clicking. Well, that's not what's supposed to happen. So I had to remove the clicks. But with the blowjobs, sometimes you make like weird mouth noises, or with the kissing, you make, the wrong kissing noise and it just sounds atrocious. So you got to go in and cut it out. So you'll see me cut just little pieces here and there. I do that at the end too. So again, just listening to make sure nothing sounds wonky. And I am peaking it into the red. You'll notice the levels at the bottom. I try to stay in the green, maybe touch the yellow a little. And then when I get into the more rambunctious portions. I will let it go into the red as long as it's not sounding distorted, particularly in, the climaxes and things like that. Now here I've done some things and it screwed everything up. So I had to go back and fix it. Because I couldn't remember where my sections stopped for my amplification. So I had to go back and undo a couple steps to remember where I was going. And that's what I was doing there. And just amplifying again. And we're getting really heavy into the action. Um, there's a climax in here somewhere. So you can see by the jumps in the sound patterns that the intensity of the audio has really amped right up. Um, it's basically nearing quote unquote the climax of the piece, ha ha ha. And that's what's actually happening. You can see. I love the fact that you can actually see orgasms on the pattern, the sound pattern here, and that's kind of what we're looking at. And then you can sort of see the come down as the sound patterns decrease, and they get smaller and smaller, and then you can see the aftercare portion, and that's what we're in right now. Now there's kissing going on here, and that's what I'm removing. That was a wonky kiss I just took out there, and a little bit of weird noises, a little click there. I took a little odd noise out of the middle of a kiss. There was something happened in the background of the kiss, and I had to take it out. Um, and then just continuing through, making sure nothing sounds messed up, and then going back and finding my point for my amplification. Pretty basic. We're just coming up on the end here, just the aftercare. Nothing earth-shattering. I do end it by fading out the audio because I don't ever want it to just abruptly stop in your ear. That's obnoxious. So you will see me fade out the ending. I generate silence first and then I fade out into the silence so it covers any shuffling or anything I might have been doing as I shut off the microphone. Here again, just removing spaces and such, too much pause between words or what happens um, as I'm thinking about things or as I'm taking what feels like a natural pause. And in speech, it probably would be. In audio, it's not. It's too long. And there we are with the end, and there's the fade out. So that's it, guys. This is the finished audio. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it.